Hello everybody, how's it going? Squeezel here, and I hope you're all well, and Happy New Year to you as well, as it's New Year's Eve here currently in Australia, and it will be a new year very shortly, well, in a few hours anyway. So today I'm going to be talking about the Pyörremyrsky, or Pyörremyrsky. Going to be pronouncing that wrong, so I'm sorry to anyone who is listening who can speak the native Finnish language and knows how badly I'm butchering that. So this is now a rank 3 premium plane. It used to be rank 2, now it's gone up to rank 3, which is very, very useful. Much better than it used to be. As it used to be, as I say, rank 2, which isn't very useful for a premium. This now gives you a good option of coverage for grinding out the Swedish air tree. So you'll be able to get up to the final props of the game with this plane. So get out your Mustangs and your J29s, is it? I think the pusher planes, basically, the pusher fighters and things like that. So you'll be able to grind up to there, so you can start working on the early jets. Of course, the jets you will have to use another plane to grind because this won't be as effective, but it effectively gets you through all the prop parts of the tree. So, what is the Pyörremyrsky? Well, this plane is a prototype. It wasn't flown in the war. It was built a bit too late. A bit like, imagine the sort of G56 sort of thing, or the RE 2001s. 2005s even. That sort of plane came out very much towards the end of the war, being developed all through the war, was an absolute magnificent plane and would have really done great things, but it was a bit too little too late, so it didn't end up making into the war. So the VMT Pyörremyrsky is also was a sort of plane developed off of the BF-109s. Now it was based mainly off the BF-109Gs, so it sort of has the DB 605 engine. I always get that one muddled up. Why do I do that? Why do I always forget to write those things down? But it's got the same engine as your BF-109s, as your G55s, things like that. It's very similar to your G55 and BF-109Gs. The one big thing, though, is this plane is actually a bit better than a BF-109G. It's got a better climb rate, and it's much more manoeuvrable. It was considered to be a very good plane. One problem was the glue used for it, which you can tell we're in the early era of planes here still. Even in World War II, planes were being held together by glue, but the glue used for the wood of the plane. The plane was actually nicknamed Pyörremyrsky, or the wooden Messerschmitt. The plane wasn't a full copy of the Messerschmitt, though. It was its own design, and you can see that. It does take some bits from the plane, and it also, as I say, takes some sort of influence from the G55, it looks like. But it is its own design, and it's very, very good. That's what I'm getting at. This plane is fantastic. Now, my crew are pretty much level 1 in this plane right now. I've just actually started grinding up another crew slot with it. So I black out at the drop of a hat, which is not what you want to have happen. So it makes it a bit more challenging right now, because basically I'm fighting blackouts constantly. Now, we've got the Premium G55S there. So this is a good matchup right now. Now, the Tismar he is going for. So we'll be looking at going down on him now and seeing how we can do. So he's going down, locking on the 6. Now I did notice a plane to my right, but it was about 5k's out. And we're going to see how maneuverable this plane is. So we're going to try and get on the G55-6 here. We swing around, got that speed, and this plane handles brilliantly at speed. That's one of the big strong points. Now, you've got a good amount of firepower, got a couple of hits there and a couple of sparks, of course, but that is the end of the G55. We have got the MG151 of the Germans, of course, the big 20mm machine gun, straight through the nose of the plane, and then on top of the plane, on the top section, sits two 50 caliber machine guns, 12.7mm LK 42 machine guns, but 12.7mm 50 caliber. So very decent firepower in this plane. It's all also centralized in the nose, so you've got a very centralized position for the firing places of this plane. Now, as I said, this plane is made of mainly wood, fabric, and a bit of metal, because Finland was struggling with metal at the time. They didn't have much. So the design of this plane called for a mainly wooden plane. And in history, that's not been a bad thing always. Wooden planes are actually quite strong. You look at things like the mosquitoes and hurricanes, things like that. They tended to do pretty well. And one of the reasons for that is they're pretty easy to repair, which is a very good thing. And this is what we had with this plane. Now, as I say, there was only one ever built, one prototype, and it didn't go into service because, as I said, it came into, basically, the first flight was in, I think, the end of 1945, so things had gone pretty tits up for the nations that were in league with Germany at that stage, so it wasn't looking good, and the war was pretty much over. Straight down there on the Bf-109, and we get another easy kill there, and you can just see this plane just outperforms them in the manoeuvring. It's very good at turning. A lot of that's down to do with the wings. The wings of this plane are very, very well made, because you've got this slight gull wing design, and they're not too long, not too short. The control surfaces at the end really help you out with manoeuvrability. The actual tail is quite a big tail. It's got quite a fat boy for its tail, and it just is very, very good. Now, this XP50 has just shot this Bf-109 into pieces, but he's managed to put the fire out. Getting very close to his airfield, so I'm just going to shadow him for a little bit and see what we can do here, because we don't really want to make him making it back to the airfield. Now, his engine is looking pretty damaged with all that black smoke, but he is able to climb still. So from this position, he might be able to glide back to his airfield. So it's at that point where you go, alright, okay, I'm going to have to nick this kill. So a bit of a kill still here, so I count that more as a assist rather than a proper kill. So I did apologise to the XP50 pilots. I said, look, sorry, it was a little bit close, I didn't want to get it back to its airfield and things like that. And that's pretty much my part of this sort of mission done. 3 kills, very easy, very simple, and that's what you'll find with this plane. It's very easy to fly, very simple to fly, very fun to fly, and just really does a great job. Now, as I said, this plane being a prototype, it didn't see any action, but it did go on to help form the Valmet Vyhyri, which was a Finnish training aircraft. Not a very successful one. It had a fair few crashes, but it was, once they were looked into, it was considered it wasn't down to the plane, it was down to the pilots performing very risky manoeuvres. The plane got taken out of service when the Prime Minister's son of the time got killed in a crash in one, but the wings of the plane went on to form that plane, and really did help with the actual with the manoeuvrability and the stability of that plane. It's good manoeuvrability, and that's unfortunately why there were so many deaths in it, because everybody thought they could show off because it was very easy to fly. Didn't do very well. They did try and sell the trainer aircraft to Tunisia, which failed, and that was it. That's really the end of the story for this plane. It's not got a huge history to it. It's sort of a bit of a low history, not very grandiose or anything like that, but we get to see how this plane would perform in game, which is something. And one of the things I do really like about War Thunder still is we get to see these planes in action and get to see them and get to see how well they could have performed. Now, this Bf-109 is coming down with everybody on its 6, so I was just checking out everything was okay, and yep, I think that one is pretty much dead. So let's go back to some ground pounding. So we break off here, just making sure everybody was okay. You never know, some strange things can happen, like team killing in those situations, and then the one plane manages to get away. Just one last thing on this plane. So in the test flight, The test flight pilot was flying along up for about 20 minutes in the air, and the cowling just peeled off again from the inferior glue. And luckily he had an oxygen mask in the plane, because otherwise he would not have survived. He did manage to get the plane back down on the ground, as it was full of lots of nasty chemicals. But that's it. So let's head to the end screen. And there we go, a match in the Pyörremyrsky. A fantastic plane, and could have been a really good fighter in the Second World War / after the war for the Finnish Air Force. But it was a bit too late, a bit too little too late. The best way to describe this plane is it's like a mix of the G55 and the Bf-109 G6 series. This plane will outperform a Bf-109 G6 in climb rate. This is a faster climber than a G6, which is impressive. It feels a little bit more nimble and better controlled than the G55 series, mainly because of its slight gull-wing design. The wings on this plane really help it. The other thing, of course, is this plane is made mainly of wood, so it's a wood fabric material, because they were really struggling with metals at the time. They didn't have enough. So it's a very light plane, a very nimble plane, very good in speeds. You'll be able to pull out of a dive relatively easily. If you go a bit too fast, you do struggle a little bit, but the control surfaces work well in the sort of high 200, 300 range in miles per hour. You still get decent control. So about 500-600 kilometers per hour, that sort of area. This plane is fantastic, so let's just look at what we got for that match. I'm running a 10% line, 15% line booster, so 70,000 lines. I am happy with that, and 13,000 research points, which has unlocked me the T-18-2. So I'm looking forward to giving that thing a bit of a trial run. So we got Fighter Rescue, Shadow Strike, Final Blow, Anti-Mech, Terror of the Sky, and Bulletproof, which is always nice to get, and as you can see, really good little thing. We had the most kills of anyone in that match, with 3 kills. That last one was a bit of a kill steal, but that 109 was going to be able to land, so I didn't really want to get back into the battle. So pretty happy with that overall. Now, of course, this is a premium plane, so you know it does cost real life money, and it will get you into the Swedish Air Force tree as we start, so you'll be able to start playing the Swedish planes straight away. How much research did I end up getting for that? Not too much, but still 1,700, that's not too bad. I'll take that, happy with that. So it will get you into the Swedish Air Force tree a little bit earlier if you do go for it. It's a very good fighter, and as I said, a lot of that is down to this gull wing design. It's very slight gull wing, but you can just see the wings are very slept back. They have that slight lift at the edge, and a little bit of dip. The big thing difference-wise between this plane and the 109 is the gear are wider apart to help with landing. Obviously, the canopy is a little bit different. It does very much look reminiscent of a G55. If we just hop to Italy quickly, and didn't have that prepared earlier. So if we look at the G55 Series 1, which is a 4.7, of course, you can see that sort of similar design, but the G55 has a little bit of a thicker edge wing. It's not really that sort of gull wing design, and you can see the wings are relatively straight. The rest of the plane is basically very similar. The back of the plane, the ridge of the plane is a little bit different as well, but you can see that they all have a very similar design principle to them. And of course the Bf-109s, if we go to a G6, there we go. So again, 4.7 for the G6, not taking this plane out at all. But again, if you look at it, a very similar sort of styling. It's a little bit longer, and of course there is a little bit of difference at the back sort of area, but the front is very much the same. The payload is pretty much the same. The only thing that's different is the fact that it's lighter and it's able to climb a bit quicker. The funny thing is, actually, with the translation, this plane is called a Hurricane. So this plane is a Hurricane. So it's got the sort of wooden infrastructure inside and a little bit of cloth material, a little bit of metal on it. So it's very similar to the British Hurricane in that respect, which I just find is slightly interesting. As I said, it does really help this plane. Now, you don't have huge amounts of armour. You've got a little bit on your seat from behind. From the front, you're going to be relying on your engine, of course, and you are going to find your engine gets knocked out if you do go head-on. Don't head-on with this plane because it's not worth it. Also, hunting down bombers is not a good idea. You will struggle with bombers because the defensive armaments on them will rip you to shreds very quickly. This plane is a little bit more flimsy than some of the others for sure, but it makes up for that in its ability and handling. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this little chat and little view on the plane, and I will see you all next time. This is me, Carl Skrizler, out. Bye-bye.